Yes, guys, what's happening? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to tonight's live stream where myself and George are going to have a little bit of fun. We're going to be picking our best 11 of signings made in the Roman Abramovich era. So that's players signed from when Abramovich took over back in 2004. So unfortunately, it won't be including any academy players or any players that were already at the club before the takeover. So there'll be no Lampard, no JT. So we made it a little bit harder for ourselves. But before we get into that, please make sure you smash like on this video and please do click that subscribe button. We are now 9 away from the 300 mark. Still looking to hit that by the end of this month. So we've got the rest of today plus all of tomorrow. So guys, if you're watching this now, you're watching it back, please click that subscribe button and help us reach that 300 mark by end of play tomorrow. We're almost there now, the final push. So really appreciate all that support. So click that subscribe button. George, it's going to be interesting, mate. I mean, you were just telling me off air that you think we're going to have the same team. I'm not sure we are. But yeah, I mean, under Abramovich, since he came in, mate, we've spent 2.22 billion euros on transfers. That's not net spend. That's just outlay on the transfers. Doesn't take into account any player sales. Only Manchester City are in the 2 billions as well. So we spent a lot of money during that time under Abramovich. Some great signings, some not so great. I mean, what were your thoughts when he first came in? Because we had that match against Liverpool end of the 2003 season where we had to win to get in the Champions League. And if we didn't win that, there was a real chance there might not be any Chelsea Football Club.
Yeah, mate, I remember watching it as well. At the time, I didn't have Sky Sports. And I think I went to a football club or something and watched it. I can't remember, I think it was called Prem Plus or something back in those days, just on in the bar. And I don't think I took in the significance of the importance of the match, to be honest with you, because being a Chelsea fan growing up, I was an anomaly. You know, it was all Manchester United fans with their tops on. And as a kid growing up, Chelsea weren't that big. I obviously, you know, because of family influence is why I supported the club. And the way we played, I think, you know, some of the players I really enjoyed watching, like, you know, Gianfranco Zola, those types of players. Yeah, I never really took it in. And to think back now that not winning that football match against Liverpool, I think Gronkiar got the winner, how different it could have been. Crazy. And when he first came in, I just remember how exciting all the play. It was so, I mean, you think of the transfer window, it was literally bash, 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 day after day coming in. And you know, I think we spent something like £200 million in the first transfer window, which now is nothing. Well, but at the time,
mate, we spent a lot of money. I seem to remember in that window, I think it was 11 signings were made in that first window. As you say, mate, they would just come in every day. You'd wake up, Chelsea signed a new player. You know, we had Adrian Mitu come in, Joe Cole came, Robin, I think Duff as well, loads of them.
Yeah. Glenn Johnson, Britt, loads. Yeah.
I mean, you know, it was a mad time, but I mean, since then it's kind of all we've known, really, or it is all we've known. You know, we've been the most successful club in English football in terms of amount of trophies. We won 16 major trophies, and obviously, well, I think it's over 20, or it might be 20 trophies in total, if you include the likes of your Super Cups and your Community Shields, etc., trophies like that, which aren't counted as major trophies. So it's been, whatever you think of Abramovich himself, it's been an unreal era in Chelsea Football Club since he come over. And, you know, you hate to think what might have happened had we not won or had he not taken over, because, you know, you just have absolutely no idea. But it's a high chance he wouldn't have existed, as we touched. And I think I remember reading one of Frank Lampard's autobiographies, I think the first one, he might have two now, I'm not sure, saying that it was true that if they didn't win that match, then it was highly likely the club was going to, you know, cease to exist anymore, which is, when you think about it now, is an absolute madness. I mean, what were your first thoughts, mate, when you kind of, if you can remember, when he obviously first bought the club and the news broke? I guess one of relief that we're kind of going to actually still exist, I suppose.
Well, again, yeah, it was one of those where you don't really take the gravity of the situation. Being quite young at the time, I just thought, well, you know, that's good. Ken Bates has sold the club for, again, you look back now, you think that's absolute peanuts, but at the time, big money. Comes in, no idea who he was. And I think some of the players got text messages on holiday being like, look, this guy's coming in. Apparently he's the big deal. He's going to bring in the best players in world football. I do remember listening to the Sunday supplement and seeing some of the back pages of players like Zidane, Ronaldo, Makelele, Figo, like all these players, Beckham, like they literally had like a world 11 that was all in Chelsea shirts, and they just thought we were going to, romp it. And I'm sure some of those conversations happened, but mad, really, mate. And like you drew upon there, I think we were speaking today, watching the tennis, about how privileged we are to be in a situation where we've managed to watch the three best in the game. And it's same with Chelsea. I mean, we've grown up at a time where Chelsea have had their best ever stint in history, and so we can look back on this and when we're old and boring, be like we were there back in the day when Roman Abramovich took over and Chelsea completely changed as a club forever. And it's something very special to be part of.
No, it certainly is. I mean, there's been so many signings, some good, some not so good. I mean, and any obviously before we get into our team and stuff, any signings that particularly stand out for you as like, a real statement signing, something that kind of really changed the course of Chelsea, or any kind of signings that, really excited you, I suppose?
Oh, well, we had a few that didn't work. If you look later, the likes of Shevchenko was a big one that came in for Morata at the time. I think strikers has been one of those. There's always been a high hope for Chelsea and hasn't worked out. But Torres again, I think that was one of the maddest in terms of January transfer, £50 million. Anelka wasn't so big, but again, I think one that springs to mind was the kind of Gallas-Ashley Cole swap that was going on for ages. That was quite big.
That was massive, in fairness.
Yeah.
I do remember that. You remember like this the sneaky meeting in the hotel rooms, and I mean, you look back at that now. What an absolute steal that was to get.
Yeah.
I mean, Gallas has been a really good player for Chelsea, a good servant to the club, and yet we get Ashley Cole, England, the best left back in England, probably the best English left back of all time, one of the best in world football. We got him for $5 million in Gallas. It was remarkable.
Mate, at the time as well, I have to be honest, I wasn't so sure on the deal. I was like, William Gallas is playing so well for Chelsea. Just won back-to-back titles. Ashley Cole, had he had his best years at Arsenal already? I was like, I wasn't sure. Bloody hell! Thank God I wasn't in charge of that deal. I'll tell you that.
But yeah, that was a really big deal for the club. I guess you look back on ones that have worked out really well. Didier Drogba, when he, I've got to be honest, when he first came in, £24 million. Back then, that was a lot of money. Back then, now you struggle to get a player out of the Championship for £24 million now. So just goes to show how the market's changed. But I mean, I'd seen him a little bit for Marseille in the UEFA Cup as it was back in those days. Looked a handful, but I mean, there's certainly nothing to indicate that he was going to go on and be as good as he was. But I mean, can you remember your first sort of initial thoughts? Because he did struggle in that first season.
Yeah, again, I just saw clips of him playing at Marseille, and it did take him 2-3 years to really get going, and he got that bad press for being, a diver, a bit of theatrical. But I think Mourinho's been very public all the way through, and particularly at the beginning where he said, you've got to make sure you get me this player. He was one of the first that he wanted through the door to change it. And again, it did take him a while. And I think we aligned that with Matthias Kesman, who was also highly talked about at the time at PSV, scoring goals for fun.
So many goals in Holland.
And did well in pre-season. And I thought, having him, I thought he was going to be the main man, if anything, not Drogba. And again, we saw glimpses of it even in his first season. I remember a really free kick against PSG in the group stage that he scored. And obviously, and scored that first one away at Palace, I want to say. Yeah,
header, second game of the season.
Yeah, and he just got better with age, didn't he? He became an ambassador for the club, a leader, just an all-round, and then came back after he left Chelsea, won the league. Just crazy. I
was going to say, I don't want to get this wrong. Was Makelele there before the Abramovich era, or was he signed under Roman? I've got a feeling. I think he was already there.
Yeah, I think Claudio bought him in. Yeah, because he played.
I think Claudio signed him as well. Yeah,
he played in the semi-final against Arsenal that we beat them when Wayne Bridge scored.
Yeah, when Bridgie scored. Yeah, so he was already there. But I mean, there's so many. I mean, another one who in that not that. Yeah, I guess that first summer, wasn't it? Was it first summer? No, Claudio was there. But even players like I think Adrian Mutu as well. I mean, I've got to be honest. Obviously, he disgraced himself by getting on the bags. But I mean, he was. Oh, mate, I've got to be honest. I was excited when he came in. He was good, mate. But there's probably a reason why he was good now, because he was just fueled up and he was ready to go. But I mean, that obviously didn't work out. But I remember being quite excited by him coming. I mean, What do you remember from his time at Chelsea? I mean, he wasn't here for that long, was he?
No, I think he played one season under Claudio Ranieri in his last season in charge.
I don't think he got. I think he did a pre-season with Jose, and that was about it.
Yeah, well, I've looked back actually, because when I was obviously doing some research on this match, he did play a little bit at the start of Jose's first season. He played away against Birmingham in a draw.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he did feature, but then after that, then the scandal came out that he'd obviously been on the Charlie, and he's naughty boy, and obviously had to go. But he was exciting to watch.
He was exciting, to be fair to him. Yeah. I mean, look, there's been some good ones. I mean, before we get into the team, let's go through some of the. Let's quickly just go through a couple of shit ones because it's quite good fun. I remember one summer, mate, writing on the wall. No disrespect to these players, but we needed to back the manager. I think it was Mourinho at the time. And we ended up with a transfer window of Steve Sidwell and Tal Ben-Aim, and I think there was one other, and I can't remember who it was. But I remember just thinking there, obviously a little bit older, a little bit more, I guess, mature in terms of like viewing things in football. I mean, I knew the writing was on the wall from Mourinho partway through that season with that transfer. I mean, what were you thinking when Ben-Aim and Sidwell come into Chelsea?
I think it was Belarus came in that year.
Did he? Belarus as well?
I think so. Don't quote me on it, but I think so. Yeah, mate. And the thing is, when we were chasing games from the start. I remember we rescued it against Reading. I think we won that match 3-2. Champions League draws at home against Schalke, I think it was. And you could tell that I don't know what it was, because I don't think the players stopped playing for him, but he just had a bit of a thing with an issue with Roman about not getting the players in he wanted. And when you're being players like that, and we were so close to another title that third year, I think, that he was in charge, and we won
really close. Yeah,
we won the 2 domestic cups instead, which was still a successful season. But I think there was a bit of a come down because we were so close to a third successive title under him. And when he went into his 4th season, we ended up just trying to rescue games, and eventually, I can't remember the game. I think it was the Schalke game or Rosenborg. Might have been Rosenborg.
It was Rosenborg. Yeah, we drew. I think we drew 0-0 or 1-1. And that was the end then. But yeah, I mean, when you don't back the manager properly, no disrespect to those players, but when you look back at it, that was embarrassing bringing those guys.
Steve Sidwell was good for Reading. He was good for Reading, to be fair.
Mate, the step up though was ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean,
any others that stick out to you? I mean, for me, even players like Yossi Ben-Aim, I know he wasn't dreadful, but like that was an odd signing as well. I didn't really see why we needed him, but I mean, there's not really any that stand out as like actually awful signings.
Oh, Veron was pretty poor. I thought he was pretty shit.
Yeah, but you can understand why we went for him. Though,
yeah, I can understand that.
I don't think we've actually signed anyone that was. I mean, not that I can think of, apart from the 2 you've mentioned, that wasn't really all that before coming to Chelsea.
No, that's true. Even the likes of players that come to the top of my head, like Quaresma or Pato, like we bought them in to try and make an impact in January.
Even Drinkwater, who's been dog shit and a ridiculous waste of money, as it turns out, he was integral in that midfield alongside Kante in that Leicester team. So like even buying him you could understand why the club went for it. But I mean, there's a lot of deals that don't tend to work out. But yeah, I mean. We're lucky to be able to spend the money we spend. I mean, hopefully there's not a few that we spent big on recently that we look back on in a couple of years' time and think, what a fucking waste of money that was. I think there's already, I mean, Timo Werner already springs to mind for me. 50 million, might as well just chuck that in the bin, if I'm being honest, on the evidence we've got so far. But we'll have to wait. We'll have to wait for some time to pass before we can pass judgment on that fully. But mate, let's get into the team then. I'll bring the screen up with the team on. 4-3-3 is the formation that we've gone for. So we've both got, the same formation. Mate, have you got everyone playing in position? You haven't got anyone. You've got anyone that's a little bit out of position? Yeah. Just for those of you that might have missed at the start, we're picking our best 11 of signings made under Roman Abramovich. So from 2004 onwards, to make it a little bit tougher, we've got no academy players being included and no players that were already at the club prior to the takeover being included either. Okay, so George, kick it off in goal. I'll start with this one. I think we're going to have the same goalkeeper. We've been blessed to have some very good goalkeepers, actually. The likes of Thibaut Courtois, who came in, done a very good job. I know the fans perhaps don't like him that much because of the way he left, but he was a fantastic goalkeeper for us. Edouard Mendy as well at the moment. Been fantastic. Needs a few more years to get into the conversation, but I think we've got another special goalkeeper on our hands. But it's only really one that goes between the sticks for me, and that's Petr Cech, club legend. I mean, can you believe that we signed him for £7 million in 2004? I know the market's changed a lot since then, but to get a player of his quality for £7 million and just so important in all those years at Chelsea, integral to every bit of success we've had. I mean, what are your thoughts looking back on Petr Cech's Chelsea career?
What can you say? I mean, he's won it all, and he is ridiculous. I mean, if you think about that, you just said it there, £7 million. And he was one player, and it's quite rare that he came in and actually started straight from the off, had his best season ever in his first season.
15 conceded, mate. Still look back at that, it's unbelievable. 15 goals in a whole season.
Like any Chelsea fan, watch some of the first games back that he played. I remember a header he saved against Robbie Keane at home to Spurs. Just, the Portsmouth volley, I remember it was like swerving, just incredible. And considering he was replacing someone that was also very, very good in Carlo Cudicini at that time.
Yeah.
I mean, the stature of the man, that seems to be a quite big thing now in modern day football with the big goalkeepers, which was kind of a new thing now. An incredible goalkeeper, still is. He kind of had that little bit of dip when Scolari and that lot took over, and then he came back to his best when we won the Champions League again. So again, I was doing some research and just watching some of his saves last night. I think one of his saves, it was on Twitter, and some people were calling it the best save ever. That one when Andy Carroll had that header that he tipped.
That was in the cup. Was it in the cup final or semi-final? FA Cup, against Liverpool. Again, it was unreal.
Watch that back, crazy.
But I mean, just the word on a couple of the other keepers that have. I mean, obviously Edouard Mendy at the moment. Let's go with. Not obviously going to go in the best signings at the moment, but I mean, do you think he's got the potential? Ironically, a guy scouted by Cech and recommended by Cech to bring in from the same club from Rennes where Petr Cech was. Do you think that Mendy's potentially got it in him to go on and be one of the all-time great goalkeepers for Chelsea?
Well, he had. I mean, if you think about it, you could argue that he could be in there because when we're picking this not just based on loyalty and that the year span with the club, it's also about the impact of what they've had, and you can't doubt his impact. He's come in, he's won the Champions League, which took a lot more time for Petr Cech to do. He's already played in a couple of finals. He's got opportunities this season to win more silverware. So there's no questions that he could be the next best if you look at it in terms of impact of a goalkeeper. There's not many else better out there.
Yeah, no, I agree. And obviously Thibaut Courtois as well. Fantastic goalkeeper. But yeah, obviously Petr Cech just gets the nod, I think. Well, not just. I think it's clear, really. Longevity as well, and just everything he did for the club, outstanding. Before we get to centre-back pairing, George, we're going to go to the right-back. I'll take this one again first, and then you can lead with the centre-backs. This was quite tough for me, to be fair. 3 choices I didn't narrow it down to. Well, that's not narrowing it down that much, but I got it down to a last 3. I had Azpilicueta, Paulo Ferreira, and Ivanovic. And this was really tough because in those first 2 or 3 seasons, I thought from when Ferreira signed after Porto won the Champions League, I thought he was absolutely phenomenal at the club. I mean, what a player. Real unsung hero, currently at the club now. I think he's in charge. I think he's a lone player manager. I mean, honestly, what a player. Done really well, won a lot of trophies at Chelsea. Unsung hero for me. And then you look at Branislavanovic as well. He came in. I know he played centre-back a little bit as well, but was predominantly used at right-back. Again, really good impact. Multiple trophies, a massive part of that 2012 Champions League winning side. Always put the dirty work in. Really good football player. And then you got Azpilicueta. Still at the club, has won absolutely everything. He's a club captain. Again, £7 million he was. I think from Marseille, back whenever we signed him, 2011 maybe. Or actually might have been 2012. I can't remember exactly. But, I mean, 3 really good choices here. But, I mean, I've gone with Azpilicueta just for longevity, for the fact he's club captain, the fact that he's won it all, the fact he's been ever reliable. So for me, I've gone with Aspie. Is that the same as you, or have you gone with one of the others, or even someone completely different?
No, I've gone for Azpilicueta himself again. Tough call, and I might be cheating slightly because one of the players you mentioned, I've shifted position because I couldn't leave him out. But for me, I mean, Azpilicueta's still playing now. I mean, we've slandered him a bit recently, calling him average Aspie, which should not be his title.
No, but his performance levels have dipped. His legs have got on a little bit.
But let's look back and what he's offered to the club. Like we said, like you just said there, won it all. So reliable, so dependable.
One of the best one-on-one defenders as well.
Yeah, and he's versatile. I mean, he can play centre-back role, like you said. And, you know, other than maybe Kyle Walker, you'd probably say he'd fit into anyone else's starting 11 in his prime. Yeah. So for £7 million, absolute steal. And, you know, club captain now, it's got to be Aspie for me. I know Paulo Ferreira, he came in and for the time he had, back-to-back titles, all the rest of it. But I think Azpilicueta is actually technically better footballer than Paulo Ferreira as well.
Yeah,
for me.
I mean, some great competition in that area, but yeah, Aspie definitely gets the nod. George, I'm going to come to you for your centre-back pairing now. Be interested to hear this. I'm pretty sure that we're definitely going to have one the same. Centre-backs, who have you gone for?
Okay, first one, which I think we'll probably both have, is Thiago Silva.
No, I've gone for Thiago Silva, yeah. I do have Thiago Silva.
For the reasons that he's become my favourite Chelsea player behind Frank Lampard, John Terry, those types. I mean, that is how highly I rate him. Never put in a bad performance other than maybe his first game under Frank where he made that poor mistake and we drew to West Brom 3-3. But other than that, he's been faultless. Again, we've got to base this on impact. And in terms of impact, he's completely transformed our team to a Champions League winning side. The stats don't lie with him at the back. And it's what he does off the pitch as well. Leader, very JT-like in his mannerisms, and just an absolute professional. So for me, I think he's, despite only being here a season, I think that is the level that he has set that role and given it his own. And again, it's very, very difficult for someone to come in for a year at Chelsea Football Club and for me to say that he's one of my favourite all-time Chelsea players. But that is the level.
Fair. And I echo exactly what you said. I mean, what a signing. Free transfer. Could be one of the best free transfers of all time. One of Chelsea's best signings. You know, he's really transformed the back line and he's such an invaluable member of the squad, particularly for the younger defenders to learn from, the likes of your Chalobahs and Christensens, etc. Even Rudiger, to a certain extent, can learn a lot from him as well. Partnering him then, George, who have you gone with?
This was really tough between an obvious one, which was Ricky C. I didn't go for him in the end purely because I couldn't
go for Ricky C.
No, purely because I couldn't leave this other man out, and I know I'm cheating slightly, but he can play here, which is I'm putting Branislavanovic in there. I couldn't leave Ivanovic. Yeah, I couldn't leave him out, mate. I think again for what he's won, the value he's given us, the fact that he is adaptable. I remember his couple of headers he scored at Anfield in his debut, just everything that I look for in a defender. So solid. I know Ricky C, again, the impact he had, you know, lots of just complemented JT so well at the back. But again, I think Branislavanovic over his tenure at Chelsea has been more value than Carvalho.
But
again,
cheating
slightly.
Yeah, no, it's not. Ivanovic did play centre back. I would go with Ricky C. I thought. I mean, in terms of impact, coming in, part of that same Porto side that won the Champions League alongside Paulo Ferreira as well. I thought him and JT at the back for those first few years, one of the best defensive partnerships in world football, one of the best defensive pairings we've ever had. But I can understand why Ivanovic gets the nod. I mean, another name to mention that I was in the conversation, Gary Cahill. Obviously came in from Bolton in a January window and literally won the Champions League and the FA Cup within 6 months of signing for the club. I mean, he was a real stalwart for the club as well, but ultimately probably not quite deserving to get the nod ahead of these two.
Yeah, for me, he just didn't play enough games for Chelsea in terms of a consistent start. And it was difficult because he had so many players in and around him at the time. But like you said, Gary Cahill was that next leader. And again, really great signing from Bolton. Wasn't expensive at all. Carvalho, I get it. I mean, I've seen him play live a few times. Incredible on the ball. it's a really hard one because again he changed the status for Chelsea and turned us from a side that were, you know, an average cup side to something to be really spoken about in terms of a title challenge. I mean, yeah, the left back situation, you might as well kick us off there.
I've already put it in. Yeah, it's an easy one, isn't it? And Ashley Cole, I mean, what a player. We discussed him a little bit earlier on. I mean, you said you thought his best days might have been behind him, but I mean, at Chelsea, he just went to another level again. So important in so many situations, ever dependable down that left-hand side. And I mean, just what a player. I mean, there's not really much more we can say about him. I mean, there's not even anyone that really comes close. I mean, you know, Marcus Alonso, Ben Chilwell, no. I mean, Boularus played there a little bit. Azier Delorme was another one that was signed. I mean, really, Ashley Cole has been the man. I mean, there's not really much more we can say about him other than what a player and what an absolute legend. England's greatest ever left back and one of the best left backs to ever play the game. I think that's probably the easiest one to pick along with Petr Cech, I'd imagine. Right. This is going to be. I think this is where it's going to get interesting. I think there's going to be a few different ones here.
Yeah.
Holding midfield, I've gone with a man who's still playing at the moment. I've gone with N'Golo Kante. I mean, to get him for £32 million from Leicester was an absolute steal. I mean, not a lot of people knew much about him. That Leicester season, he was phenomenal when they won the title. Gets the move to Chelsea. And, I mean, he's been ever-present, really, in the side. I know the level's dipped a little bit recently, but it seems to be getting that back again. The guy covers so much ground. The way he breaks play up. He's like having two players in the midfield. I swear he must have about 3 or 4 lungs the amount of running he gets through. And he never looks tired after a game either. So, I mean, yeah, Kante in there, and at £32 million, an absolute steal. I mean, I presume you've got Kante in your team somewhere, have you? Or have you got someone different at the base?
No, it's Kante for me. I thought you might have been swayed by the because again, it was a very difficult toss up between him and Makelele, considering that role is called the Makelele role for a reason.
Makelele was signed before Roman.
Oh, was he?
Yeah. He was there before them because he played when Wayne Bridge was playing in that Arsenal quarterfinal, sorry.
Yeah, but that was Abramovich, wasn't it? 03, 04?
Did Abramovich sign him? No. Did Roman sign him?
I'm sure it was a Roman Abramovich signing. I'm almost.
Don't
forget, Claudio Ranieri had a year under Abramovich, didn't he? He had a year under Abramovich.
No, he did.
Yeah. And that's why I was going with the toss-up between. And to be honest, that doesn't change my opinion. I still think Kante for me. I still think Kante's brought an extra level to that role that Makelele, despite being an amazing player,
a bit more dynamic. Kante.
Yeah. And I think he's someone that cannot be replaced. I think Makelele was someone that we probably bought him at the tail end of his career. Yes, he still had an amazing amount to offer.
I mean, what a player Makelele was.
Yeah. It was hard. It was a hard choice for me, but I did go Kante for the reasons that you've mentioned there.
Yeah, right. I mean, let's move on to the midfield 2 now. I've gone with. I'll deliver my 2 first. I've gone with I've gone with Michael Essien as one, and I've also gone with another Michael Ballack as the other one.
Ballack, really?
I've gone Ballack. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
put your case.
Well, I'll start with Essien first. I mean, another player from Lyon, £24 million, the man known as the Bison. What a football player this guy was. Mate, unbelievable. Seriously. Like, I mean, unreal. Could play a little bit further forward. More of a box-to-box player. Could also play the holding role. But I just had to get him in. The impact that he had on the football club was unreal. I mean, coming in after that title-winning season, the first one, to have that midfield of him, Makelele and Lampard, it was a joke. And Essien time and time again delivered for the football club, never moaned about being played at right back or anything like that. He was actually pretty decent at right back as well, popped up with a few worldly goals. I always remember that one against Arsenal and the one that he scored against Barcelona, which ultimately we came undone with that famous "it's a disgrace" from a performance with that Norwegian referee who mugged us of a load of penalties. But yeah, I mean, Michael Essien, what a player. I mean, is Essien in yours?
Yeah, Essien's in mine. Again.
Yeah, okay. We both agree on that one.
Yeah.
Essien is in. All right, so I've gone Michael Ballack. Before I put my case forward, you've obviously gone with someone else. Who have you gone with?
Right.
This is going to be ridiculous, isn't it?
No, I think
No.
again, think about impact, right? And he
Are
won
you
Player of the Year.
are you going with Manish?
No. I nearly went. I nearly went Manish or Yuri Arashik. It was a toss up.
Oh,
No,
all
he won
smirting.
Player of the Year. Yeah, all three. What a midfield that is. I went for this player because again, for impact purposes, I think still played his best football at Chelsea, and I'm still annoyed that he left us in circumstances where I don't think he was
Oh,
valued,
I
and for
think I
that
might.
again, might be cheating slightly, but I've gone for Juan Mata, mate, in that
I've gone for
position.
I've gone for Mata in there. Oh,
I think player of the season back to back, got
yeah,
both double digits in goals both seasons that he played.
yeah, yeah. No, I would have
Won
put
the
him in my
Champions
team.
League.
Yeah, I mean, I would have had him
Um,
in my team. Unbelievable for those 2 seasons, and I was still pissed that Mourinho sold him. I've got to be honest, but the only reason I didn't put him in there is because he played more of a 10. But I guess you want to fit
yeah,
him
so
in,
I'm
so you've
cheating
gone.
slightly.
No, you take him, mate. You take him in there. But what I was going to say, mate, if you had to go with a
10, yeah.
more, if you had to go with an actual midfielder, who would you have gone with Ballack, or would you have gone with like maybe an Nemanja Matic, or?
This is a tough one. I gotta look through my list just to see who I might have messed up. Well, again, for impact wise, I was thinking maybe Cesc Fabregas. Again, that was a bit of a toss up just because
Oh yeah,
he's
Cesc as
probably not
well.
liked. He's probably not liked because of the whole Arsenal thing, and we only had him for a short spell. But again, he came and similar to like Ashley Cole's situation where he's come in and he's loved at another club, but he did make a huge impact at the club and won a title.
Yeah, he did.
Pretty
That
much
one
carrying the
that
team.
season where him and Costa, the link up was unreal.
So he won't ever get in a Chelsea best 11 because people won't love him enough to go in there. But I don't know. Other players that I looked at Mikel, but again, I don't think even though he was a great servant, again won it all. There was
Yeah,
debate whether how good he was.
yeah.
Ballack, I know Ballack was great, but I just don't think we saw the best of what he had to offer.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I mean,
Um,
for me, it was a toss-up between Ballack and Cesc, and I just went with Ballack, but I mean, could easily
yeah.
have been Fabregas.
But then could you argue? I was arguing with myself last night, saying in terms of signings, we did have Kevin De Bruyne. So even though he didn't
Yeah,
work at
but
Chelsea, you
yeah,
could
but
say
yeah, I mean, you could say
it's a
that,
curveball.
but it's a bit, yeah. Then you could on that point you could put Salah in, but you never put Salah in as a
Well,
good signing for
no,
Chelsea, would you? So I guess
no,
on
but
that point you can't really have them. But yeah, there we go. So George, you've gone Mata, and I've gone Ballack with honourable mentions to Fabregas and Nemanja Matic. Moving into the front three, then let's go with the obvious one. Then I presume he's in your team, left hand side, none other than Mr. Eden Hazard.
this
They got
guy.
7 or 8 unbelievable seasons out of him. He was a game changer. I know his numbers actually weren't the best. He never scored that many goals, and the assists weren't that high either. But for someone that could change a game, someone that could just make something happen, go past players, that low center of gravity caused all sorts of issues. He was our go-to man, and we were so often so dependent on him. And I'm not going to say we're becoming a one-man team, but often if he didn't play well, we wouldn't win. So, you know, so vital to the team. Came in after that Champions League, after we won the Champions League in Munich. Man, I remember like feeling well nervous about who he was going to choose. He was letting out those cryptic tweets like, you know, I've made my decision. He just constantly refreshing the phone as he picked us. Luckily, he picked us. And, you know, the rest they say is history. I mean, George, did you know much about Hazard before he joined the club? I knew he was like pretty decent for Lille in terms of it was like the next sort of big thing out of the French league, but there wasn't a lot to indicate that he was going to be as good as he went on to become.
No, and I was kind of put off by it a little bit because we had this whole hype with Florent Malouda when he came from that. You know, he was supposed to be the next big thing. And to be fair to Malouda, again, he had some really good seasons.
He was
I
okay.
remember one season.
Yeah.
Under Ancelotti, I think he had his best years.
Yeah.
But again, he was hyped to be the next big best thing, and he didn't live up to that. Let's be honest. Hazard, for me, I mean, I'll put it out there. I think in terms of talent, probably the most talented player that's ever graced Stamford Bridge. I'm not saying about numbers or goals.
More talented than Zola.
With a ball, I think so. I think there are
Yeah.
things that he could do. I can't remember who it was against, but there was one where he was on the edge of the box and he almost just dribbled through. They all stood still.
Oh, I think it was against West Ham.
Yeah, and he scored that one away at Liverpool which was absolutely ridiculous as well in the cup when he
that
nutmegged someone.
That was unreal.
Just some of the things he could do with the football.
Yeah.
Other than Messi and Ronaldo, I think he was the next. He's the most talented player I've ever seen play at Stamford Bridge for me, and that's saying something. Not necessarily the best or the biggest, but in terms of talent, raw talent, can't match it.
I mean, it's a real shame now. He got the move he wanted. I think it was a good deal for all parties. We got a lot of money for him. He went to Real Madrid where he wanted to go. It's a real shame. I haven't seen how good he's been, to see him struggling at Madrid, just not reaching that level anymore. But hopefully, maybe he can rediscover some form. But it's a shame to see him as a bit of a shadow of his former self currently. George, before we move on to centre forward, I want to take your right hand side. I mean, this was quite tough. I've got to be honest. There was quite a few names that I had in the mix. Equally could play left or right. I mean, it's kind of, you can have players that play on the left hand side and the right. It's not really a big issue. But who have you gone with?
He's here. He's there.
Are you gone with him? Yeah.
Yeah, I've got Joey Cole, mate. You've got to have him in there. He would have gone in my role as a number 10 ahead of Mata, perhaps, because that's where his best position was. He could play on the left, but I couldn't leave him out, mate. Again, talent wise, I think those first years, he had a good season under Claudio Ranieri in his first year when he came in, and then Jose turned him into a completely different player, world beater. Again, those goals against Liverpool home and away, I remember in the title winning season, was so pivotal.
Yeah.
Just
that unreal goal player, where he turned Rio Ferdinand inside out in the second title season for that 3-0 at the Bridge. I mean, what a goal that was. Again,
Sorry,
go on, mate. No, go on.
No, I was just saying, and so in terms of someone to watch, everyone refers to him as like the school kid, because he went on there and just pretended like everyone wants to be Joe Cole, just relax, play his game, and he always played his game. Was never fearful of anyone, and again, the numbers weren't particularly great for a number 10, but just an outstanding talent and a great servant to the club. And he probably should have won more in his time at Chelsea, but he still came away with a lot. So I couldn't leave him out, mate.
Any honourable mentions to anyone else that was in the conversation that was close?
I mean, you've got a few. You've got Iron Robin, who could have played on the left or right, again, for his impact. I actually had Damian Duffy in my subs or draft, you want to call it, again, back-to-back title winner. In terms of numbers, he was actually very good in his 3 seasons at the club. Ranieri season was very good, and the 2 Mourinho seasons very good. The night against Barcelona, obviously. Sean Wright Phillips was another one who didn't probably live up to his potential, but again, you couldn't argue with him as a great player for Chelsea on that right-hand side. I can't think of too many others, I have to be honest. I don't know who. I'll be interested who you've gone with. I don't know if you've gone with Joe Cole as well.
I mean, you had Pedro and Willian in more recent years, but again, good impact, but not as as exciting as the likes of Joe Cole. Mate, this was a real difficult one for me. I was torn between.
You go Costa?
No, I was torn to go between Arjen Robben and Joe Cole, and on this right hand side, and I couldn't. I know Joe Cole, what a guy, what a player. So talented, mate. I couldn't leave Arjen Robben out. It just, in terms, I know that his time was plagued by he was injured a lot, but in terms of ability and talent, this guy is one of the most talented players I think has ever been at the football club. And I wish we'd kept him longer. I really do, because some of the stuff that he'd do with the football, some of the goals that he would score, he was so dangerous, and he came so young as well. I think he came when he was 20. And he was just so silky on the ball, great finisher, great dribbling. For me, I've gone with Robben, but equally I could have gone with Joey Cole as well. But I know it was on the right hand side, but I just had to go with Arjen Robben. But I mean, Joe Cole, obviously fantastic footballer, and I don't think we can really argue with either of those.
No, I mean, Robben, it's particularly in his first year when he came from PSV. I remember him he really did stand out in terms of his, he scored quite a lot of goals and and then went on to Bayern Munich and played just as well.
Yeah, it's just a shame he got injured so much.
Yeah, and I think that's why we let him go in the end. He wanted to go to Real Madrid, just too injury prone, and we couldn't. He just never really got on a real unbelievable run at Chelsea, did he? Just when he was getting good, he'd pick up something. But like you said, mate, in terms of a left foot, we haven't seen something as good since at the Bridge, really.
Mate, and moving on to wrap the stream up, centre forward. we've not been blessed with many good centre forwards since Roman came in. I mean, look, I'd like to give honourable mention to Hernan Crespo. I love that guy as a player, really good footballer, great finisher. Had some good moments at Chelsea for sure, but he's not going to go in. He's not going to go in the team. Then you've had the likes of your Shevchenkos, your Torreses, your Maratas, your Kesmans, all big flops. There's only been 2 that have been successful, and that's Diego Costa and Didier Drogba. And as good as Diego Costa was for us, fired us to 2 league titles, 20 league goals in each season. Phenomenal. In terms of longevity, it wasn't quite there. There's only one man for it, and it's the king. You know, it's Didier. It has to be. You know, what he's done, he's iconic at this football club. You know, that Champions League win, the fact he then came back and I think he won a few more trophies. I know it wasn't quite as good the second time round. It never really is. But in terms of impact and longevity at a football club, he's the best centre forward I think we've ever had.
Oh, and look, you know, you could, as a Chelsea fan, and anyone's entitled to their opinion, you could argue and make a case for any player on the pitch apart from the goalkeeper, and certainly this one. Anyone who hasn't got Didier Drogba in their Chelsea best 11 does not
signings. Yeah, no, for sure.
I mean, I know you could tinker the formation to suit, and you could, and I would say if you were playing a 2, you'd obviously have Drogba and Costa for that reason that you said. I mean, in terms of impact, goals, and all the rest of it. But I mean, there's got to be a statue of this man outside the bridge.
We need to get him one.
He is just impeccable, and I know it took him a bit of time to get going, but my word, once he got going, he's just been, well, he's one of the greatest to ever be in the Premier League for sure. Any favourite goals, mate?
I was going to say, what a big game player as well. The guy, his goal scoring record in finals was phenomenal.
You were lucky to go to a few as well. So
yeah, went to a few that he scored in. Mate, there's a few goals that stand out. There's one, I think it's 2006-07 season against Liverpool at the Bridge, where he receives the ball, gets it on the chest, and then just swivel volley in. That was a fantastic goal. There's another one away at Everton. Might have been the same season, actually. The game we won 3-2, and he scored a ridiculous goal from like just inside the Everton half. Those 2 stand out, but there's been so many, mate. I mean, he's just like, I mean, I can't find the words to describe it, but he's just been phenomenal. I think the only time he let himself down was, I'd say, the 2008 Champions League final, the red card. He would have certainly taken one of those penalties in the shootout. So that was a little bit disappointing. But I mean, other than that, mate, I mean, absolutely phenomenal football player for our club. I mean, there's not really much else to say.
I know we could have a whole show just about Didier Drogba. I mean, that's how good he was. Like the goals you said, that those bring to mind, and just won it all. And then, you know, like you said, so many fine margins in sport. You know, at that point, got the red card, lost the Champions League final, could have easily gone at that point, and decided that he's had his time at Chelsea, and then retired. You know, won the Champions League with the penalty and the equaliser in the game, came back, won the title. I mean, it's just literally what dreams are made of in terms of storytelling.
It is.
We'll never see in our lifetime someone better than Didier Drogba as a number 9 at Stamford Bridge.
No, I'm not sure we will, mate. But to be fair, pretty decent lineups. Only 3 that we differ on, and to be fair, you know, not really any major disagreements, you know, on that. So not bad considering. I don't really think we've missed out any obvious ones at all. But yeah, so
how do you think that team would do in these days against, like, say, City now?
That may be decent.
It
is a naughty team. There's a naughty team. Yeah, I mean, guys, say if you feel any differently, let us know in the comments. Let us know in the chat if there's anyone that you would put in, or anyone you think we've forgotten. Then do let us know. But yeah, no, mate, that was good fun. We've agreed on a few more than I thought we would. But yeah, that seems like a good point to round out. So, guys, thank you so much for tuning in live. That was good fun as always. Make sure you do smash a like on this video, and please do click that subscribe button. We're 9 away from 300. As I said at the top of the show, we're looking to hit that 300 mark by the end of the month. So please do click that subscribe button, smash a like on this video. George, pleasure as always, mate. That was good fun. Enjoyed that. And Chelsea back in action next weekend. So a bit more Chelsea current content coming in the next few days. So stay tuned for that. But as always, up the Chelsea, and catch you soon, guys. Cheers.